Waiting for it to go live.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American.
Folks, welcome to the Patriots Prayer Podcast. That is not Eddie. I am not the native patriot, as you can tell. I'm Dale. That's Jim. Two guys, one Coup Podcast. Eddie, Maurice are off tonight, so they've asked us to guest host for them, and it's a great honor to do so.
Yes, it is.
And what a great show to do it on. Folks, we have coming up the pleasure of interviewing AJ Richards. I'll briefly go into it, and we'll bring AJ on. He's a father of 3 daughters. Boy, that's probably a story in itself. Married to his high school sweetheart and a combat veteran, where he and his family are now homesteading in Cody, Wyoming. AJ sold beef direct to consumers for his family's ranch in 2019 and operated a USDA beef processing facility during his time researching for the launch of his project to help fix America's food supply chain, which Jim and I have talked about in the past. So this is very interesting to us, and you're going to definitely want to stick around for this. AJ is now the founder and visionary behind FromTheFarm.org, an online digital farmers market poised to become the AirBNB of local food in order to fight for America's food sovereignty and the political policies that threaten famine. Let's waste no time. We're going to bring him on. AJ, hey, brother, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me,
guys. I'm going to switch you around there and put you in the middle. You made it. Sorry about the mix-up on the old email.
It's all good.
It wasn't even your fault. I actually sent it to ourselves. So I'm glad you said something.
I am learning that in the tech world, 90% of the time it's a user error on the other side.
Yeah, there you have it. So you're looking at 2.9%
right there. Of the time it's our fault. So
exactly.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. What a great honor it is to speak to you, and of course to host the Patriots Prayer Podcast for Eddie and Maurice tonight. Let's get right into this. Let's start with your background. People who may not be familiar with you or what you're doing.
Thank you.
And
for
how
your
it kind of led into this. Yeah, into this whole FromTheFarm.org website, which we have perused, and it's pretty amazing.
I
actually,
like the carnivore bundle. That was
me too.
my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I saw brats for like a ton of them for $50. Sold me. Anyways, AJ, tell us all about yourself and how you got into this.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This is pretty cool. I always love the opportunity to share our story with other patriots, people throughout the country that still believe that we have an opportunity to restore some of what we remember from younger, years. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that opportunity. And really because it is this community, people that listen to shows like this, that have to do something about it because they're aware, or at least when they hear it and become aware about our food supply chain and its fragility. But not just the awareness of what's going on, but there's solutions happening.
Yeah.
One of the best things before I go into about me and who we are, let me just say, I've met some really incredible people in this country that are working their tail ends off to save it.
Yep. Good.
In the public or in the private sector.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We can't count on our politicians to get anything right or to do anything right. And so there is an army of people doing things like Public Square. I know Michael Seifert personally, and all the producers who are already selling direct to consumer. They're figuring out how to become shipping logistics experts and marketing experts. These direct to consumer farms and ranches that are already doing it on a big scale, and they're still a family operation. Mm-hmm. They're paving the pathway for this. So there's an army of people out there working towards something that's better for all of us.
Good.
Now it's the citizens that need to show up. So
okay.
With that, I was born in Utah, raised in southern Utah. My family are 5 generations of ranchers. My family are the Bundy ranchers. I am not a Bundy myself. We've got 1,100 of us that show up to our family reunion.
Yeah.
Actually, this last weekend, they just got together.
Oh, wow.
So we have a big family. The posterity is huge. Ammon Bundy is my second cousin. Cliven is my Cliven Bundy is my grandma's brother. So that's how we're related.
Yeah.
And I share that to say this is the crap we've been dealing with our family's entire history.
Wow.
And it's not just our family. Anybody in farming and ranching, for some reason, we know why, but our most important resource, which is our food and our food sovereignty, has been picked apart for decades. And we are now suffering the consequences of that. There are so many areas of our supply chain that if they break, it's bad news.
Sure.
So that's that awareness of the assault on our small farms and ranches to where we are today, 1.8 million and dwindling.
Yep.
Feeding 320 million people.
And that's down from like 6 million, right? Back in like the 1930s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so watching why this happens, being young enough to watch my whole life growing up, family meetings where it was talking about more things being taken from them or more challenges just to be food producers. But I am the joke. I'm the city slicker cousin. So I did the cattle drives, I did the brandings, and I listened in the family meetings, but I didn't wake up and do the chores. Right. So, but I now know how to understand what is the disconnect between the urban environment and the rural environment is in communication. And so that was what my youth taught me, right? Okay. So fast forward, I started a sports entertainment company in Mesa, Arizona. I lived there for 12 years. It was called Rush Club. We broadcast 250,000 people live. Basically, it was CrossFit meets UFC. They didn't fight, but they competed in weight classes for a title belt.
Nice.
I did that for 8 years. Learned a lot, failed a lot, ended up in a bankruptcy back home. So 2019, I'm in transition. I'm looking for where am I going now? This thing I thought was my future is gone. What's my purpose, right? So I'm throwing concrete for a family friend, delivering Instacart, doing DoorDash, all of the things just to try to help make ends meet. During this time, I started selling beef for my family's ranch. Now, my goal is always to get onto a ranch. But my uncle told me something once. If you want to be a millionaire rancher, start with 10 million.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that.
Which is sad.
Good advice.
Yeah. So I'm trying to become a multimillionaire just so I can ranch. And so it ain't working out. So finally I just called one of my cousins, and I had plenty to choose from, but I called one of my cousins, and Ramsey Hughes, their family has Anchor Brand Ranch on YouTube. And if you love Western conservative family value entertainment, watch them. You'll love them. So I started selling beef for his ranch and learned a lot about how difficult it was to go direct to consumer. And anytime you would post on Facebook Marketplace, you would get flagged for selling animals. And when you would try to appeal, nobody would listen to you. Unless you paid them for the marketing. And then good luck understanding keywords and algorithms and, all of the things that make incredible marketers.
Yep. Correct.
And you want me to do that part-time, in my basement while trying to figure out how to sell beef direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. And then COVID hit. And then all of the slaughterhouses backed up. We called to get our next round of slaughter, and they said, we can get you in 18 months.
Oh my God. What?
So our country went from functioning to completely dysfunctional, as everybody knows. But this is an avenue that not many people are aware of.
Correct.
And guess what? It's your most important avenue as a human being.
Yep.
But you've been distracted.
Yep.
Right.
But by the way, you're about to see famine in America unless you wake up.
Yep. Agreed.
So the news is talking about empty store shelves, and you can only have a limited amount of meat. And all of the things that are going on. And I'm in the country and I'm seeing fat cattle all over. Well, there's a fat cow, but nobody in the city knows how to call their old rancher that's got it.
Yeah.
And we have a processing facility problem. So in that moment, I thought somebody ought to build the AirBNB of local food. make it very easy to list food that you grow as a producer, any size producer, so your neighbors can find you and we can start repairing our food supply chain.
It's amazing.
But yeah, and so nobody was doing that yet. Now, I am so grateful that a lot of people had this same idea at about the same time. So you're going to see 10, 15 companies like ours popping up, helping you find a farmer and rancher. Guess what? Great.
Yeah.
We welcome that because there are 300 million people to communicate to.
That's right.
And our only adversary is big food.
Yep. So that's right.
I'm glad all of these other guys are going. So God woke a whole bunch of people up in 2020 and said, yo, get to work.
Yeah.
In my particular story, I'm like, I'm slinging concrete. I don't know the first damn thing about software. Not me.
Sure.
Yeah. And then God wouldn't let me sleep for weeks until I started doing something about it.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
You mentioned that first business you had, you failed.
Yep.
You didn't blame anybody else.
Nope.
You got back on it and you succeted.
Yeah.
Wow. So it can be done. I'm being a smart aleck. That's what I'm being.
Welcome to America.
Welcome to America.
Yeah, well, that's the point.
Welcome to America.
People fail, they just stop.
That's incredible.
Like, you know how many times you fail? I mean, but
the guy mentoring me told me, so I couldn't sleep for weeks, literally.
Yeah.
I was picturing the face of a man in Iraq when we took a care packages to his town, his home. Never thought about that man in 20 years.
Yeah.
Here it is 2020, and I'm trying to sleep at night, and I'm seeing this man watch other people feed his family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
That's going to be me. And you ask any of my family during COVID, I didn't give two craps about COVID.
Yeah.
I was worried about the consequences that we're starting to see of the disruption that COVID caused.
Correct.
Now, it's taken a lot longer to fall apart than I thought, but that's how I was feeling in 2020.
Yeah.
So I can either sit here and do nothing, which God's not going to let you do nothing. You got this for a reason, or just start asking around town, like people that are in the tech space, what would this look like if we built it?
Yeah.
So I met this guy. He's a partner now and was a mentor first. And man, he would throw a stick like a dog and I was gone. And then would just show back up with it. You know, things like that I would have never known that I had to learn, like building a wireframe. You know, we got to a point finally, he's like, build a wireframe. And I'm like, what the hell's that?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
So
I go to wire.
I go YouTube. I go YouTube wireframe. And I was like, oh, it's like blueprints for a house. Okay, now how the hell do I do that? And so it's
correct.
And I'll be honest with you guys, we would be 6 months to a year ahead if it wasn't for the self-development that I had to go through to be sitting my ass in the seat I'm in.
Yeah.
Because I was slinging concrete driving for Instacart in 2020. I've known none of this stuff, but the power of mentorship and collaboration,
correct, with
the right people, and then faith in God will accelerate any project if done for the right reason.
Yep,
and
exactly.
we're living proof of that.
Exactly. And here's why this is so interesting. We'll get into the meat.
Yeah, because we have some questions about some
of it all.
But opinion on what you think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you mentioned COVID, and we all know the origins of that, where it came from, and everything that was done, and obviously to me on purpose in order to destroy our economy, to destroy our country. But since then,
in China.
Yeah, exactly. It's food. And since then, it was a bat. Yeah. But since then, we've seen this progression of a few different things happen in the food processing world. One of them being that stood out really to me, and then there's others, obviously, as we started going down that rabbit hole, were the amount of food processing plants that actually burnt to the ground. Over 30, I believe, in the year 2022 alone. And some since then, one recently.
I think there was over 100 in the last 4 years.
Yes. So what is there? My tin hat says this, that there is, there you go. I need that, brother.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I need a baseball head version. That's all. There's something Now, you can go Google that crap to death and you're never going to find anything that says otherwise, other than it's just coincidental. There's nothing behind it. There's nothing. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, nor have I heard of anything like that happening prior to the Biden administration. I'll come right out and say it. What is this all about? What do you think? What's your opinion on it?
Man.
Unless you don't want to say.
This is the stuff I talk about. I'm just trying to think about how to frame the response. Man, here's the thing. The level of complexity that our food supply, that's why it's so fragile. The level of complexity of our food supply chain is mind-boggling, because then you have environmental pressures, right? You have what the weather's doing that's causing, and now we can play with that too. So you've got that. True. Then you've got the political pressures, and then you've got the, let's say, corporate pressures would be the right way to say that. So you've got the corporate pressures who are paying the political pressures, and then you have the environmental pressures. And then inside of those, there's a phenomenal amount of complexity. Like when I talk, I'm sharing what I've heard from incredible people, and I could only gather a fraction of even the stuff I heard them say. Yep. Right. And so it's just incredibly complex. So with that said, I don't believe in coincidences. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yep. Okay.
But I don't have any evidence to say that, that was caused by X. The only incidents I know of, because it's talked about quite regularly in the cattle market, specifically in the food supply chain, was a fire that happened in Kansas in a facility. And I think the facility, again, I'm sharing what I retained, but you guys can look this up and you'll find all the details, and it'll match with what I'm sharing. It was something like 6,000 head of cattle a day that processed. It was significant. The next day, the market changed.
Yep.
And I've heard people that research this talk about the timing of the fire, things like insurance or compliance issues that were coming up. Yep. Like all of these things that are just, again, coincidences.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do I believe in observational science, and what I'm observing is a whole lot of screwing off going on? Yeah. Then yes, the evidence is very clear.
Okay.
I consulted for a slaughterhouse in Utah that does 200 head a day. And so there's been a lot of really incredible conversations that I've been a part of with different people at different levels of the food supply chain. What I think is the most dangerous for us is the political decisions being made, policies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, you can attack the infrastructure, but listen, a small town of Amish can throw up a slaughterhouse in 24 hours. So
correct.
Really, that's not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is these policies that are being made now that are causing our food supply chain to dwindle. So right now we're at 1950s level of cattle with 2024 population.
Yeah.
And the thing about biology, you can't just change things in nature to suit your fancy. So
correct.
Those herds are going to take 3 to 4 years to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
So for the next 3 to 4 years minimum, we are wholly dependent on foreign imports.
That's yeah.
It's frightening.
Now, we also waste a shit ton of food in this country. We waste 40 to 50% of what we grow. So if we get lean, maybe we'll be okay. But again, the policies are the problem. So like recently, the Oconus bill that went through, the RFID ear tags for livestock that nobody wanted.
Okay.
If people don't know about that, they are now mandating. It's not a law because it didn't get voted, but they're mandating and requiring, just like we saw during COVID, this fancy new way of
making people do stuff.
Yep. Livestock over certain age and crossing state lines now have to have a tracking chip on their ear, all of them. And it's going to spread to where every single animal has to have a tracking chip. So people say, well, why is that a problem? Well, because some people, that's very convenient. If you're managing a large feedlot and all the data for that cow is on that RFID, that's very convenient. But let's take an example of a producer I know that has winter grazing ground and summer grazing ground, right? and they have to rotate them because they're on public land, Forest Service and BLM, two different entities. Well, they don't communicate. So he has to be off this ground by X time, which is 2 weeks before he's allowed to be on the other ground.
Right.
You following?
Yeah, I am.
So how do you get around that? Well, you just do it slowly and hope you don't get caught.
Yeah.
Because they've given you no way to succeed. Well, now when every one of those animals has a tracking chip on it and they say, you're over your limit here, X amount of days, here's your fine. And that fine is more than you would ever make on those livestock. You've got another producer out of business.
Yep.
So
which
already,
is, I think, the goal, right? Is that not?
Yeah,
I think that's the goal. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a few questions I have, and we'll get into the fake meat and all that stuff. And look, if you want to be vegetarian, have at it. It's your right as a human being to do it, and as American, do whatever you want to. I don't enjoy it. Okay, I want my burgers to be meat. Okay, but we'll get into that in a little bit. But my question is the environmental rules, okay, that are coming out, because we all know during the Ice Age when the cattle was farting and having all this go into the air, and no, that's okay. Now I get it, people out there, the volcanoes, whatever. But the point of the matter is, they're using this climate change or global warming, whatever you want to call it. How much effect, and I know it had to be a lot, because you talked about regulations, you talked about the laws, and they're making up this crap that's coming out here. But how much of an impact has that been on some of these farms? Because I would imagine there's going to be a mandate on how much methane gas that are from the cow poop. Have you run into any of that with your venture? Because we see it. We know that the left is trying to destroy pretty much everything, and the left want to control everything. They want to control us. Who eats, who doesn't. It's how do we call it? Population control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good question. It's just a lie agreed upon. So everything they're talking about is total crap anyway. Bullshit, pun intended.
It is. No, yeah,
and the shit that comes out of the bull is worth more value.
Yeah, exactly.
I would
you can actually do something with that.
I would take a bull, the cow shit over AOC any day of the week.
Yeah,
that's right.
So let's just say that. I mean, that is what is happening. And so then, why would that be happening? And so that's where you start looking at the fake meat and the insect burgers and everything else. And I think what's happening is a play for intellectual food property.
Okay. That makes sense.
The people that control big food also control big pharma, and their strategies are looking like the same strategy. I'm going to vilify natural remedies that our ancestors used forever to keep themselves alive in worse conditions that we live in now. Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to vilify that, make you sound like a kook because you're selling snake oil.
Yep.
And then we're going to outlaw anything else we can under a Schedule 1, even if psychedelics are proven to transform PTSD in combat veterans and heal them. But we're going to vilify it, make it a Schedule 1. So anything that's of real value, we're going to outlaw, but everything else, we're just going to make you sound like a nut job.
Correct. Right.
Okay. What's happened with food?
Yeah.
Cows are destroying the planet.
Yep.
Bird flu is going to kill everybody. Your backyard chickens are the downfall of the American food supply chain. So if I can outlaw and vilify everything natural about your food, but don't worry, I've got you covered. But I own the intellectual property to how you make this food you're now only allowed to eat.
Yep. Wow.
It's the same playbook.
Same playbook. Yep.
Now, what isn't known is how much starvation and death happens in that transition.
Right. Yeah, that's right. What? Nor do I think they care.
Well, they don't care. They don't care. And, I always use this book because I think anybody who really wants to look at what's happening is Red Famine. Red Famine is about it's called the Holodomor, or I've also been corrected, and it's called the Guladomor.
Yeah.
1932 to 33, 7 million something people starved to death in Ukraine. Because of the policies that led to that year die-off. Now, a lot of people were dying leading up to that, but that one mass die-off happened because of decisions that were already made in agriculture. Well, it was more we're going to produce this much grain or you're dead type scenario. And so they destroyed their supply chain, and then that led to the mass starvation. And they had to be aided. So now, instead of communist rule, we have communist rule making policy.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's right.
It's going to destroy our food supply chain, and we're going to suffer the consequences of extreme
They've
famine.
gone completely past socialism straight to communism. They just briefly discussed socialism, but they just went on.
Right on past. Crazy. Hey, we got a listener who's got a question. I'm going to put it up. Okay, guys, question. Why, after the floods in Montana and South Dakota over a decade ago, has the herd not been ever replenished? Maybe you know something about that, and AJ, if you can answer.
I don't know about the floods, but what I can tell you about what's going on in Montana is a lot of ranch land is being bought up by people that don't ranch.
Correct.
And so the herds are not coming back because nobody's ranching and raising the herds.
Yep.
That's what's happening.
And they're buying that land just to own the land, not to do. There's doing nothing with it.
Yeah, it's wealthy.
Currently,
it's highly wealthy people that I mean, the average home in Jackson Hole now is $7 million.
Jesus, God.
So, So that's what's happening. Wealthy people are buying up ranch land, and then they're not ranching it. I am not a fan of more policy, but if there ever was one, it would be that if you buy production land in the West, it stays in production by you or by somebody that you lease it to. So the American citizens who rely on those vast areas of land in the West can have food produced there.
Yeah. What's your well, I mean, Bill Gates is buying a lot. We know that. It's another subject, I guess. But I mean, it's true.
Population control people that's out there.
Exactly. But I mean, what's that geek know about farming, right? So I mean, that's a prime example of what is taking place and what you're talking about.
Well, he's working on a special genetic version of a cow that produces less methane.
And
I can't.
The faux meat. I'm just
synthetic meats.
In all honesty, in my opinion, everything that he's doing, the synthetic meats and everything else, because we don't know what's in it, and we're probably never going to know what's in it. But I'm personally thinking everything. Now, again, I wish I had a conspiracy hat on.
Yeah.
But it almost seems like everything that they're trying to do is in a sterilization process to sterilize some, to keep the population down, because that's what we're talking about, right? When you control the food, you control the people, right?
Yep, that's right.
So, and it's all about population control, in my opinion. Okay. So it just boils down to what is in this stuff. And because if you read how it's made, I don't want anything to do with it. And even though we could be eating it and we don't even know it.
Yep, correct.
You are eating it.
Well, fill us in. Now, what am I eating? Shoot.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you're not reading every label,
let
me stop bouncing this table. If you're not reading every label, you are most likely eating seed oils. Seed oils is in everything. And we grew up with seed oils, but what we don't know, many of us, is the origination of seed oils and how it got put into the family diet. And we think that because grandma cooked with it, it was good. Crisco.
Yeah.
Grandma was sold by marketing just like we are.
Yep, correct.
So grandma switched from butter or lard from the pig they just finished to Crisco, because she was told that was better for you and healthy for you and blah, blah, blah. And it's motor oil. So if you're eating seed oils, you're poisoning yourself. You don't know it.
Wow.
Skin cancer isn't caused by the sun. Skin cancer is caused by seed oils in your skin and the reflection of the sun in the basically the molecules or the fat in your skin. Now, you can go look that up too. I did not explain it super well.
No. That makes sense.
But if you go look it up, you'll find out that that's what we're now learning is all of these things that we believe it was all part of marketing. Let me share this story with you, which I thought was fascinating. Deodorant. When it first originated was for women.
Yeah. Oh.
Because it wasn't ladylike to smell.
Well,
and it was only for women.
Wow.
Well, guess what? When they made it normal that every woman wore deodorant, what else do you do to increase profits? Men.
Yeah, I mean, yep, that's right.
The other population. So up until that point, men weren't wearing deodorant.
Yeah.
The women weren't, maybe someone were complaining. Maybe they were the progressive women that were complaining about
Women
it.
didn't like the way the men smell.
The rest of them were
Yeah.
like, man, my masculine men working hard. I love it. I don't know. Right. But But it was the marketing that then said, now we need to increase our value. So let's start targeting men. And they started marketing deodorant to women for men. And so women started buying deodorant for their men.
Wow.
So
I did not know that.
Everything we see is we've been guided down through marketing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so the complexities are, I mean, it's crazy. It's deep.
Which on the deodorant level, this is totally off base.
Here's a question.
But it's an interesting story, but hold on a sec, Jim. The deodorant level, story. So then you find out that deodorant blocks the lymph nodes, which then creates breast cancer in women.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Which then either one leads to big pharma and or two, population control. I mean, I think it's full circle here.
Yeah,
deodorant thing. I mean, it's
exactly.
true.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's all they sell you on a bill of goods like this, and it turns out being detrimental to you.
They own it all.
Yeah, yep, they own it all. Wow, Jim, go ahead now.
Real quick, Eddie had a question, and we've seen it, and it's what about the farmers being told they can't use water? And we see this in like California, right? And we see it in the West. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we do know that some of the farm water has come back. Okay. Some of it has come back. But all of this it all leads to them controlling the food.
Yeah.
I mean, right. I mean, that's what this is all about. When you shut down the fish, right? The water for the fish, and you dam up the rivers and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me. But
Well, it's just, it is crazy. It's just, it all goes back to control of the food. And I think that when a decision to stop something bad for our supply chain isn't made, it's intentional to let it proceed in a bad way.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
And then they'll help it along with where they can in other policies as well. Like mandatory country of origin labeling, MCOOL, they call it.
Okay.
When you buy beef from the store that says USA on it, it's not USA beef. There's a high likelihood that it came from another country. So right now they have the ability to import beef as long as it's already meat, not a live animal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I may be off on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Uh-huh.
Point is, once it gets processed in a USDA facility, they now have the right to label it USA.
Just like shipping any goods from China over to a port in Los Angeles, and the company's based in Los Angeles, basically a warehouse.
Yep.
Now it ships from the United States. It's from the United States. It's the same concept, I'm assuming, in the manufacturing end of things.
That's right.
Yep.
So it's called MCOOL, and MCOOL was repealed because it offended Canada and Mexico. Basically, there's a lot of trade. There's a lot of trade stuff that's floating around there.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reports I read was that it would have cost America $4 billion to not allow them to keep doing it the way they're doing it, which is to ship it and then label it USA.
Wow.
And I'm like, the cost to our farmers and our economy is more than $4 billion in the tariffs it would have cost you.
Correct. Wow.
And even if it did, that's way better to spend on than all this bullshit wars we're paying.
Exactly.
Because we would have more stable farmers and ranchers in our country, but they don't care. That is not the point. We are a passive society. And it's because of our food supply chain and our lifestyle, because we've become distracted. And so we are. And in everything we eat, even when we think we're eating something healthy, because the label looks fancy and it says certified organic, and you turn it over and it says seed oils or some other crap.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, Jim, do you want to, but we have to listen, take a little break from our sponsor here, and Jim's going to play that real quick minute. We'll be right back. All right.
Yep.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoking Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoking Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
Yep. www.smokingguncoffee.com, folks.
Dale and I can tell you, it's good coffee. We've
drinking some
both-
now with a little bit maybe of Bailey's. I don't know. I mean,
And
it's,
you can now
we're morning
join
guys, so this is new for us, a nighttime show.
You can
What's
now
that?
join coffee clubs.
You can.
Patriot
You
Prayer
can.
Network has coffee clubs. All of us have. Well, all the ones that I have so far have.
Mhm.
So for like Patriots Prayer or Two Guys One Coup, you go out there, click on Coffee Club, you get
Boom.
our beautiful logo pictures on the I've got them. The 2 bags.
AJ, who
coffee.
wouldn't want to wake up with?
I mean,
our
come on.
faces
Come on.
That's right.
Hell, our wives don't want to wake up.
No, yeah, they just turn over.
Yeah. Hey, let's get into the whole creation then of the site and what the website actually does. As I'm on it, I'm looking. I go on it fromthefarm.org. So www.fromthefarm.org. It's spectacular, honestly.
Thank you.
You put in your address.
That's what
It gives you the farms closest to you. And then I'm looking, I'm like, well, okay, the one closest, I'm in the panhandle of Florida. So about 130 miles, there's a farm. Not many farms down here in the panhandle of Florida. I get that. And I'm thinking, well, I mean, it's worth the drive up. Oh, wait a second, they ship to you. So how does all that work? Tell us the whole process there.
Yeah.
Because this is incredible.
So what needed to happen is producers needed to have a fair market and then do business how they choose. And we'll help where they ask for more help, but they just need a fair market. And that market should also be set up with American patriots that want to support their producers because they understand the value of that. You know, food's a common ground. So if you don't identify as a patriot, you're wrong, but probably in the wrong country. But if you are a little more left leaning, well, we're still going to feed you because we're also Christians and we're going to take care of everybody and ask for it.
Right.
So,
Yep, you're right.
You're right. Good point. Very good. Point.
So we just needed to build the marketplace. And what I learned selling beef for my family's ranch is the one thing I needed the most help with that nobody was offering was the marketing. Now I could go pay for marketing, but to hire a really good marketer at the small level it doesn't pencil out, right?
Yeah.
You have to scale into that. And so when you're already a producer, and I was not the producer, I was selling for my cousin.
Yeah.
He could only do that because he had somebody like me putting the extra time in outside of raising the livestock.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how do we make it easier for producers to do it themselves if they want to, so that more people can find more local food?
Yeah.
So we built the software, and then the software is just the way business is done.
Yeah.
But what we are is the marketers to bring all these Americans to a platform to buy their food direct so that they can get to know, and we say, shake the hand that feeds you. And so then we just take a small commission. That's what funds the marketing.
Yeah.
Our direct to consumer platform isn't designed to make money off the ranchers or the farmers for our profit. We will do that by supporting other brands through affiliate marketing.
Right.
Yep.
So now the producer can earn the dollar they're supposed to, so they can scale their operation and produce more food.
Yep.
And the thing that other companies now are using as loss leaders to slash meat, we'll make our profit on there by partnering with patriotic companies that are complementary to food and agriculture.
Good. Okay.
Right. So
Makes sense.
what I mean by that whole, little rant about making your profit up, big companies, the reason they can sell their meat for so cheap is because they're offsetting the losses with other products. So when I'm selling you your plasticware and I have a 300% margin, I'm offsetting my losses. And so now a producer can't keep up with the big corporations' strategies because they've become so efficient, really.
Yeah.
I mean, now with that said, great business. You built a monster of a business, but it isn't good for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
The site, folks, for everybody who's listening and watching, it's an easy to navigate site.
Sure is.
It really is. Once you put your home city in, okay, you can actually, because that's what I did, and it come right up, boom, there it is.
Yeah, super
And
easy to operate.
They ship to you.
Yeah,
I mean, you get to go choose. There was choice between bacon and, again, a carnivore bunch.
Bison. I mean, there's all sorts. There's all sorts out there.
And it's
so
and it's
easy
only
to
growing.
get.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's only growing. We launched with just meat products only because that's what I understood the most.
Sure.
So we launched with that, and we just opened it up for produce, dairy, and
Oh,
produce, dairy, and grain. So
oh,
basically, all food items growing. Now, each state and county has their own regulations, and so we are not we're not exempt from those. So producers that are selling on there can only sell what they're allowed, which is the crappy part. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
that's get people to vote different.
Yeah,
correct.
well, yeah, good luck
So
with that.
we help where we can. Some
Mhm.
states are way more friendly to local food, and so you're
Mhm.
going to just see a lot more options there because
Mhm.
of that.
Yeah.
But we also are here to help make a difference, and so the money we earn is just going to go into fighting this crap
Sure.
anyway. And
Yeah, that's
getting
right.
getting it back to what serves the people.
As it
So-
should. And you mentioned vote differently, vote accordingly. Let me ask you on that political end of it. We've seen all of this kind of take place since COVID and after. What and I know you were not kind of in the industry before, but what do you see in the future with, say, perhaps a regime change on the level here where Trump gets back in office? He good for the farmers? I mean, obviously, is there things that he did prior to that? And I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with with his policies
And
on
maybe
farming.
that's
But
why
that's
they
where
might
I'm
have
learning.
worked.
Yeah,
'Cause we-
yeah. I
from-
mean, but is there? I mean, you're seeing a vast difference, or is it strictly maybe because of COVID, which again has happened mainly? I mean, obviously, it's a plan. We knew that, and so it's all led to this. But is there a big difference? Will Trump getting back in there do what the farmers in this country need a president to do? I think so, but tell me, I'm not in the in that whole industry.
I think in the long run, maybe.
Hmm.
I don't know enough about his. I get the feeling that some of the people backing him are deep-pocketed, big food people.
Yeah.
And so I worry that he's got friends in the high-level business space that would influence against some of what we're doing. Now, I'm all for the guy. We need Trump in 2024. Like, we've got big. Listen, I'll keep me and all the other people I've met that are working on our food supply chain can do that while he's trying to keep the world from nuking itself.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
We may have to fight against policies that he hasn't had time to look at and really consider because we have a massive broken government.
Yes.
But I think our first priority is let's stop the nukes so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I do think we'll see better prices and inflation. People can hardly afford food anyway.
Mhm.
And I think that Trump in office might fix that.
Not to mention the amount of illegals coming over the border who have to eat.
Yeah, right.
And who are being fed.
Right. So
where's that taking it away from?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's too many mouths to feed. We can't even feed ourselves. So
correct.
RFK's platform on small farms and ranches. I wish Trump had that policy because RFK's platform on our family farms and ranches is the solution for our family farms and ranches. Now, it's not the right time. If this was post Trump's last 4 years, then maybe that would be the right time to take on big food and big pharma. Right now, we just got to take on, fat man and little boy. So
exactly. I mean, that's true. I'm not sure that. I understand that Trump and maybe RFK's platform is good for that. Maybe Trump will listen. Maybe Trump will take that on and leave everything else RFK saying behind. But maybe with the exception of maybe vaccines. I mean, there's some good policies there. Don't get me wrong. I get all that. But anyways, back to the website and creating it. You also you're working on marketing this. Working on a video that you're gonna put out there to everybody. I'd like to get into that a little bit because I think you could say you shared it with us. It's not ready to be shared to the world yet, but we've seen. I asked myself after seeing it, why isn't it ready? This is damn perfect as is,
perfection.
So what's going on with that? I mean, it's great. You know?
Thank you.
Especially when the shit hits the fan. That's just I'll just give a little sneak peek, but that's what it says in there. It's really well done, the video. So, but go ahead. I'll let you talk.
I love that. I love that.
A little airplane reference.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked, because it goes back to the original first, thoughts of this idea. It also became very clear that if we're blessed to succeed, because there's a lot of miracles that have to happen. I mean, we're going to go for it anyway, but we're basically picking on everybody to give the American people the right to choose their food. And so if God blesses enough to succeed, it was also very clear that we could never sell it. And that's the only way it could succeed. Yeah. So imagine trying to grow a business where trying to get capital during this time in our history where money is the way it is, and telling your investors there's no exit strategy. Yeah. This is a legacy business. And you don't get a board seat because I'm not going to risk you breathing down my neck when JBS shows up with $1 billion check. And every lobbyist that works for every big food person is going to come after us. So chance of success is nil. Yeah, that's right. Try to raise money in this environment. Yeah. That seems, Like I said, though, I've met some incredible people, and we raised $500,000 on those terms. That's incredible. Yep. And that money funded what we're doing next, which is the video you saw. So we're never selling. We got to find ways to make money to grow this thing. And hopefully the people want it enough because we worked our ass off for it and they want to connect direct. Yeah. And then we won't need the money so that we can protect this. So we hired Harmon Brothers Marketing. Harmon Brothers Marketing did the crowdfunding for The Chosen, The Sound of Freedom. They also did the marketing for Squatty Potty and Purple Bed. Like, they're really good at crafting a phenomenal message that can hopefully go viral, right? Because we don't need the money if we can get the virality of correct social media. The people, if the people share it, and and of course they have to be entertained. Yeah. So that what I shared with you guys was the first edit of the crowdfunding campaign. Okay. So we're going to target a $5 million raise on WeFunder. We're going through all the processes to list our business there. We're going to target a $5 million raise, but the people are going to fund it, so we don't have to take capital from anywhere else. We are at a point now that money that is invested is actual equity in the company. So it's not special T-shirts and stuff like that, or special trips, which we might do at another time. Take people on ranches for unique cattle drives and stuff like that. That's neat. Yeah, for sure. This initial push, we want the people that have been waiting and supporting and ready to have a piece of the action and to be able to have the opportunity to stand with us. Cause that is what's happening. If you back this, you're also saying, shit, this $100 may go nowhere because these guys are fighting a hell of a battle, but that's right. What else am I going to do?
The one good thing about conservatives, and I want to say conservatives, not Republicans, because not every Republican's a conservative.
There is a distinction.
There is.
That's where it's going to happen. Because we support stuff like that. We go out and support, especially if we know it's military backed, right? That's because we're big pro military or first responders. That's who we are. So that I think is very important from your standpoint, because the conservatives are going to be reached. We're going to do it. Okay. We're going to do it. And I don't think at this point in time, with the number of conservatives that are starting to stand up and raise our voice, because you notice all the different people coming in to the Conservative Party thinking, well, this isn't so bad, right? Yeah. So exactly. It could blow, and I mean explode. And I hope you guys are ready for that, because the more people hear it, the more people go out and do it. Just look at Chick-fil-A when somebody goes to tax them. What happens the next 2 or 3 days? They're lined up all over the place. That's what we do. Correct. So I think
and vice versa.
And
look at Bud Light.
You're doing it. And then we also go the other way with it.
Go the other way. That's right. Pocketbook. It makes a difference.
Forward. I honestly am looking so forward to this, because folks, when you go out and look at the website, fromthefarm.org, just look. I mean, there's so many opportunities to get meat, and it's a fantastic site. And
it is. It brings up a question for me, because 85% of the food that is supplied to our country, I guess, is owned by 4 companies. Is that true?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right, or am I saying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 85% of our meat supply chain is controlled by JBS, Cargill, National Beef, which was bought by a company called Morfrig, I think is how they say it, and Tyson.
Oh.
So those 4 companies. JBS is Brazilian, and they're the largest in the world and in the U.S. And Morfrig is Brazilian. Cargill is an American company, but there's some weirdness if you do a lot of research going way back into the Cargill family.
Okay.
And then Tyson is multinational. Yep.
Wow. So I look at it, and this is just going to be off the top of my head because I don't know, but you go to your grocery store, wherever that may be, it doesn't matter which one you're going to, but they sell what was called Smithfield products. I don't know if you're familiar with Smithfield. Okay. So then I had heard a couple years ago, and maybe it's not even that long ago, that China purchased that company. I don't know that to be true. I don't know how that is, but
it is
and
true.
Yet it's true, right?
Yeah, it is true. I just shared on my X account a guy talking about a documentary that was put together about Smithfield and how it's been completely captured by China, 100% owned, and it's part of a national. It's part of their strategy, and by the Chinese National Bank or something like that, which is owned by the government. Yeah, it's 100% true. And in Utah, where I'm from, and I have personal connections to this facility, one of the largest pork producer farms in the nation was shut down last year. And it was because of the shutdown of the Smithfield slaughterhouse in California, where all those pigs were going from Utah to Smithfield's processing facility. They closed the facility, closed the pork facilities, the pig facilities out by Beaver, Utah, and shipped them off somewhere else.
Where are they being
I don't know, man.
And shit. You don't? Okay.
They're all over. That's the thing.
They are. Okay.
Of the 85% of the meat that gets sold through our country. Yeah. So everybody else gets to share 15%, right? Of the 85%, right. What I've been able to find is about 20 facilities only process all of the beef.
Wow.
Shoot. When you talk about a fragile supply chain, and all of these other facilities burning down,
correct.
2000 and let's see, when was it? 2021, the year after COVID. One of them got hacked, and they had to pay an $11 million Bitcoin ransom.
Wow.
And they were shut down. They had to because they were completely shut down. And it was processing like thousands of head of cattle, so they had no choice.
Wow. Holy smokes. What is going on?
Yeah.
Where's the news on that? Like that's the thing where what you're telling us and everybody who's listening is not news that is definitely, it's not sexy news, right? It's not distractions. It's not, everything that they're wanting us to pay attention to.
Well, I think because the media is owned by the same people, they don't want you to know about it. So they're not going to tell you about it.
Yep.
Well, and the other thing,
even though it affects those SOBs, just like it would you and me. I mean, that's the problem, right?
Well, we ran into this today with our guest today, where somebody basically out there said they don't want to hear about that conspiracy bull crap. And
it had to do with illegal immigration.
Yeah. So and we sit here and we say this stuff, and it's like, it's not. I mean, this is out there. These are people fighting, and yourself and other people, they fight for this stuff because they see what's coming. Yeah. And we have to help those groups. And
correct.
There was a comment made here, and I forgot all about this, and I'm glad the listener put this up there. But we all remember when AOC attacked Goya, right?
Yeah.
Donating to Trump. What happened?
Yeah.
So that's what you have to look forward to, AJ.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
maybe get AOC to badmouth you or something.
Yeah. I'm sure it won't take long, and that's good. That'll be good for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, Public Square is a perfect example of people rallying behind conservatives. Public Square, people
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not endorsed by them at all. I'm just saying that there's a guy who had an idea for a conservative marketplace free from all the other BS going on. Guys like Mike Lindell who were canceled for supporting Trump, like all of these guys, right? Somewhere for them to be and to do commerce. And they're 4.5 years in and over 2 million users and like
wow,
crushing it.
That's right. Yeah, crushing it. Yeah,
and so it's
and
happening.
this is similar. This is going to be a similar. I think.
I agree. I think so.
I do. And
as
the
long
fact
as
that,
they let you.
Right. We know the fight's coming. And listen, all of the things like the water curtailment in Idaho, and then in Oregon, they tried to put anybody who had an improved section of their property for their dairy cows now is regulated under the same rules as a commercial dairy. Why?
Jeez.
Because commercial, and they would have gone bankrupt to try to, it would have made no sense to keep the cow. If you had to put that much infrastructure in for one cow.
Correct.
Well, it was the dairy lobby in Oregon that lobbied to have that rule pass because raw dairy is becoming a huge value for people. And so that was being shoved through. But guess what? People showed up on social media and made so much noise and called the offices responsible that they actually backed off. Now, here's the thing. You can't turn your head because those slimy sons of guns, they're just waiting for you to get distracted and they're going to shove it through.
You're going to do it again. That's right.
But it does show that when we are diligent, when we are not complacent, we can keep pressure and not lose our, listen, people, what's your life worth? Like,
exactly.
Get on the damn hill.
Exactly. What is your life worth in your family's
amazing
life?
when the left discusses conspiracy theory? It's true. But then, I'm sorry, when conservatives talk conspiracy theories, it's true. When the left talks about it, it's made up or somebody tried to get it. Think about it. The Steele dossier, right? The laptop, Hunter's laptop and all that. It's kind of weird, isn't it? That when we come up with conspiracy theories.
There we go. Back to it. I love it.
This is why I made this. And I wear this when I give speeches. This is because of what you just said. If I say it, when I have all of this evidence for it,
correct,
crazy
and facts,
tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, and I'm like, great, I'm going to reappropriate that son of a bitch, and
exactly.
Invite everybody else to make one.
Yep. There were no fact checkers until the truth started coming out. Just
that's
the truth. So that's what happened there. Listen, AJ, can you tell us again about how they get a hold of you, the website, when you're going to have this whole big marketing, how people can help you and help support the farmers across the country? That's really, this is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm super, I'm sorry, Eddie and Maurice, you couldn't make it, but I sure am glad we could fill in for you because this has been very eye-opening and telling for me.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So tell us again how they can get all of you, what's coming next for you, how everybody out there can help support you.
Yep. So on X, it's AJ Richards. On Instagram, we are about to bring on somebody to help us manage that. So they're way more engaged with keeping messages going.
Sure.
I'm too busy to keep up. From the Farm US on Instagram. And then my personal one is _J_Richards.
Okay.
So that's our socials, how you can see what's up, where the messages are. But if you go to fromthefarm.org and set up a user profile, that will put you into an email system that we can let you know when certain things are happening. So, for example, when we launch our crowdfunding, if you are interested in supporting that with us, you'll get a notification through that email system. So just go to fromthefarm.org and register. Okay. And also, man, if you want to help, those farmers that are already on there would love to have you as a customer. If you're willing to have meat shipped to you, if they're not close, there's people that'll ship to you. And we don't set prices. So every producer sets their own prices. So you might find some that are on the higher end. Just keep looking. You'll find some that are on the lower end, but you also got to keep in mind, you're not comparing apples and apples when you're price shopping between Walmart and the producer.
Correct.
That's a much longer conversation, but it costs a lot more to grow your food than you realize. So anyway, we would love you to support those producers. especially the ones that are on there now. They've been patient with me. They've been hanging out while we've been fixing bugs and getting ready to roll. And so they're all amazing. They're incredible.
And definitely push it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if it is a little bit more, I mean, we're talking about, I mean, you've talked about what's already in the food and what's being planted in there, and this whole, what'd you call them again? Seeds? I'm trying to, what are they?
Oil seeds.
Oh yeah. Seed oils.
Seed oils.
Yeah.
Any seed oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil. I mean, you read it, seed oils. Yeah.
So that's all that is. And this stuff is really, I mean, this is coming fresh from the farmer.
Oh yeah.
And right to your door.
Yep.
And if anybody out there has ever had, farm raised cattle and have had steaks from it or burgers from it or something, you know the difference.
So
yeah,
you can taste it.
You know the difference.
Yeah. And we have grass-fed and finished producers. We have regenerative producers. We have corn and grain finished. Whatever you're looking for, there are people on there that have it. And to what your point is, if you're going to pay the farmer now, or you're going to pay pharma later.
I like that. That's a good slogan, dude.
Not mine.
we need a slogan for the show.
Really, that is great.
I borrowed that. Whoever owns that, thank you.
Yeah, that was great. AJ, listen, this has been a real honor for us and a pleasure. And hopefully we can, you can come on our show, which is in every Monday and Wednesday. But we'd love to have you back on with updates. We'll keep in touch, obviously, with you. We want, again, I'd like to thank Eddie and Maurice for allowing us to guest host their show. They'll be back Wednesday at their regular scheduled time. And you
guys did an amazing job. Just chiming in.
Oh, hey, who's in there?
Yeah. Also,
Eddie
wants us to stay on after we end the show.
Okay.
So don't
disappear. Please do. I want to talk to you guys when we're done.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
AJ, thank you. We've talked to a lot of people from border, from voting, election fraud, and all this stuff, and you added to that list that scares us to death. So
you did.
So
what you
added, make us go without sleep. That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. You're
welcome.
Yeah. Well, good, AJ. Good luck. Again, we will stay in touch. Honestly, besides this whole project, good luck with 3 daughters as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
We each have a daughter, one.
Yep. Oh, and,
nice. That's plenty.
Yeah. And I have a wedding coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh man, I'm not there yet.
Not there yet. Someday, my friend, someday. Yeah. So everybody help support him. He's got 3 weddings coming up someday.
Yes, definitely.
AJ, thank you so much. We appreciate it. To everybody out there, thank you for your participation, for listening, for the questions. It's been great. Again, Eddie Maurice will be back on Wednesday. Until then, Jim, I think we'll just end it here. And again, we'll talk soon. Thank you all. And y'all have a good night.
Okay.
My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up on your gun, this is a